Good morning, geometry class, and welcome to class for today. We are going to be working on 11.1, a new chapter, in which today we're going to be working on proportions. So hopefully you're ready to begin. Here we have similar triangles that have been, as we think about last chapter, that have been scaled or dilated. So we have a pre-image here, and an image here. And see, one of the values, or two of the values, are unknown. Well, we're going to use the two values that are known between the similar triangles to help us calculate the k factor between them. Well, if we take a look and we have image over pre-image, that will allow us to find the k value, or the proportion. Or we could say, if we were to give these points a, x, r, and a prime, x prime, r prime, we could say that they are proportional from x prime to x, or a prime x prime to ax is proportional to a prime r prime over ar. They will be proportional is the word we're going to use. So if we were to say that the image has a value of 9 and the pre-image has a value of 3, we would say that our k value is equal to that, or k is equal to 3. So if we were to say k is equal to 3, and we took and we said, let's multiply that by the k of 3, 5 times 3, z would be 15. And b, if we took that and we took 4 and multiplied by the k factor of 3, b would be equal to 12. Or we could look at this from a proportion standpoint. If a prime x prime is 9 and ax is 3, and a prime to r prime is b, and a to r is 4, and if we cross multiply, we'd have 4 times 9 is 36 over 3 equals b, and so b would equal 12. You see, both ways you do it, you set it up as a proportion or you find the k value, will give you the same answer. All right, let's move on to the next slide. So these triangles, these two triangles are similar. So we could write that as ABC, triangle ABC, is similar to triangle YXZ. Now, the order was important. Let me show you what I mean. Let me be very careful as I say this. I started with A to B. So on the second triangle, I had to start with Y to X. I went in the same order. And then after that, we said A to B to C is similar to Y to X to Z. I made sure that I was using similarity. Now, there's a couple of things I really want to focus on. Let me get my pen back out here. The first being that this symbol means congruent. These are not congruent. They are not two different objects with equal measurements. These are called similar. Because they are similar, we'll just take away the equal sign underneath it, and that means similar, similarity. All right. Now it says and state proportions. So again, we want to say the image over the pre-image. So if we have in the image, we have side AB. You can see because I highlighted it, it's similar to, excuse me, I'm not following my own rules. Apologize. It's YX, the image, over the pre-image AB is proportional to the image XZ over BC, which is proportional to, I'm going to use the last side of my triangle, YZ is to AC. Does that make sense? I hope so. If you got any questions, let me know. Give me a phone call or send me an email. So now let's work on solving proportions. We already did one like this, but these are types of problems you're going to see in tonight's homework, is where you have to solve a proportion. How we're going to do that is by cross multiplying. So we're going to take the 3 and we're going to cross multiply it across the equation. At the same time, we're going to take the 9 and we're going to cross multiply it to the other side of the equation. So when we do that, we'll get 3 times x equals 9 times 1. Or we could just say 3x equals 9. So x would equal 3. All right, let's keep moving forward. Here I have another proportion. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cross multiply. So I multiply the y across to the 2. So we get 2y. And we'll cross multiply the 5 times the 8. And 5 times 8 is 40. So y equals 20. You've probably done a lot of these proportions already in Algebra 1 and pre-algebra and even before that. So let's keep moving forward. This one, we're going to take out the idea of image or a proportion set up, and we're going to have us set up the proportion. So remember the rule for today. In a proportion, we're going to put the image over the pre-image in order to work this out. So if our image for AB is 75 is to 5 as C prime D prime, which is what we don't know, that's the image of C and D, is to the pre-image of 3. Now we can take and we can cross multiply. And so we're going to take the 3 and we're going to multiply it to the numerator of the other side. So it's going to be 3 times 75 over 5 equals C prime D prime. You could, right at this moment, you could get your calculator out and you could work this out. But again, one of the things that I've stated many times is that what I like to do in this situation is I like to look and see if what I can do is I can reduce my fraction to begin with. And 5 goes into 75 15 times. If that's the case, I believe that C prime D prime is going to equal 45. Or we could have just used our calculator and said 75 times 3, which is 225, and then divide 225 by 5 and you get 45. Both method for a question like this, both are acceptable. I might encourage you to do this. This will help your problem solving skills if you can reduce fractions and help you move on to next year and the next levels of math and prepare you for college. Okay, here's another question, very, very similar to the one we just had. And again, we're going to say that it's image over pre-image. And so we could say we know that C prime D prime is 8 over the pre-image of 12 is equal to the image of AB, which is 20, over AB, which we don't know, so we'll call that x. And then we can cross multiply, so we're going to get 8x is equal to 12 times 20. If I were to think about this, I know that 20 times 10 is 200, and then if I added another 20 to make it 220, and a 12th 20 would make it 240. Or you could get your calculator out and just say 12 times 20 equals 240. Okay. Now, if 8x equals 240, the opposite process would be to divide both sides by 8. So I'm going to divide this by 8, and 240 divided by 8 is 30 units. So that would make AB equaling 30. There was something I even thought about going back to the last slide, but one of the things that we've already looked at is that there's a K factor. And the K factor can be found by taking 8 over 12 to find the K factor. And so that would make K, both of those are divisible by 4. So if we reduce both by 4, 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. So that would make it so that our K factor is 2/3. So we take the pre-image and multiply by 2/3. In this case, I have the image of 20. And if we're the opposite of multiplying it would be dividing it. If I were to say, okay, let's divide by 2/3. How do you divide by a fraction? Well, you multiply by the reciprocal. So that'd be 3 over 2. Again, we could reduce before we multiply. 2 goes into 20 10 times. 10 times 3 equals 30. So either way, we're going to get the same answer. That's our lesson for today. That's the first lesson in the chapter. Usually those aren't too much problem for students. And so this is our normal homework. As I said at the beginning of the year, with everything crazy this year and us trying to work from home, we're going to change the lesson up a little bit. And so instead of 1 to 20, what I came up with for a lesson plan for you is to do page 521, just on 521, numbers 3 to 7 and 10 to 14, which cuts it in half. So instead of having 20 problems, you're going to have 10, but I'm also going to give you an extra credit problem. Maybe you want Blake to get extra credit to kind of boost your grade as you're coming into the end of the year. So question 17 is extra credit. Have a great day. Thank you.